On the 1st of July, we spoke from a ship from Rochefort, the master of which gave information that the frigates in Aix-Roads had taken in their powder, and were all in respects ready to put to sea. Also that several gentlemen in plain clothes and some ladies supposed to form part of Bonaparte's suite had arrived at the Isle of Aix. In short, upon the whole, there was little doubt of its being his intention to effect his escape, if possible, from that place in the frigates. On receiving this information, I anchored the Bellerophon as close to the French squadron as the batteries would permit, kept guard boats rowing all night, and prepared my ship's company for the description of action, in which I thought it was probable they would be engaged. I trained 100 of the stoutest men, selecting them from the different stations of the ship, it being my intention, after firing into and silencing one frigate, to run the Bellerophon alongside her, throw that party in, and then, leaving her in charge of the first lieutenant, to have proceeded in chase of the other. His Majesty's ship, Phoebe, joined us this evening, and brought with her the Bellerophon's barge. Captain Hillier, having orders to take station at Bordeaux, I recalled the Myrmidon from that service. On the 7th of July, I received a letter from Sir Henry Hotham, together with fresh orders, from which the following are extracts. Extract of a letter from Rear Admiral Sir Henry Hotham. It is impossible to tell which information respecting Bonaparte's flight may be correct, but in the uncertainty it is right to attach a certain degree of credit to all. That which I now act on is received this morning from the chief of the Royalists between the Loire and the Vilaine. Although the force of the Bellerophon would be sufficient for the ships at Isle d'Aix, if they were to give you an opportunity of bringing them to action together, you cannot stop them both. If the frigates separate, I am therefore now anxious you should have a frigate with you. Therefore, if any of them should be with you, keep her for the time I have specified. But if you have no frigate, and this should be brought to you by a 20-gun ship, keep her with you for the same time. She will do to keep sight of the French frigate, although she could not stop her. If this is delivered to you by Lord John Hay of Opossum, do not detain him, as her force would be of no use to you, and I want him particularly to examine vessels which sail from the Loire. Extract of an order from Rear Admiral Sir Henry Hotham. Having this morning received information that it is believed that Napoleon Bonaparte has taken his road from Paris to Rochefort to embark from thence to the United States of America, I had to direct you will use your best endeavors to prevent him from making his escape in either of the frigates at the Isle d'Aix, for which purpose you are, notwithstanding former orders, to keep any frigate which may be with you, at the time you receive this letter, in company with the ship you command, for the space of 10 days, to enable you to intercept them in case they should be put to sea together. But if you should have no frigate with you at the above time, you will keep the ship delivering this, which will probably be the Slaney of the Cyrus, in company with the Bellerophon, 10 days, and then allow her to proceed in execution of the orders her captain has received from me. The Slaney brought the letter and order, parts of which are extracted above, and having no frigate in company, I detained her as part of the force under my command, though she was on the 8th sent down to the Mamison Passage with orders for Captain Green of the Daphne, and did not return until the evening of the 11th. On the 8th of July, I was joined by a chasse-maree bringing a letter from Sir Henry Hotham, part of which is as follows. Having sent every ship and vessel out from this bay to endeavor to intercept Bonaparte, I am obliged to send the chasse-maree, which has been employed in my communications with the Royalists, with this letter to acquaint you that the Ferret brought me information last evening after the Opossum had left me from Lord Keith, that government received on the night of the 30th an application from the rulers of France for a passport and safe conduct for Bonaparte to America, which had been answered in the negative, and therefore directing increase of vigilance to intercept him, but it remains quite uncertain where he will embark, and although it would appear by the measures adopted at home that it is expected he will sail from one of the northern ports, I am of opinion he will go from one of the southern places, and I think the information I sent you yesterday by the Opossum is very likely to be correct, namely that he had taken the road to Rochefort, and that he will probably embark on the frigates at Ile d'Aix, for which reason I'm very anxious you should have force enough to stop them both, as the Bellerophon could only take one if they separated. And that might not be the one he would be on board of. I have no frigate to send you. If one should join me in time, I will send her to you, and I hope you will have 22-gun ships with you. I imagine from what you said in your letter by your barge that you would not have kept the Endymion with you, especially as the Myrmidon would have rejoined you by the arrangement I sent down by the Phoebe for Sir John Sinclair to take her place off the Mamison. Therefore, I trust as it may be, my last order to Captain Hope will not have deprived you of his assistance, but hope it may have him in a better situation than before. The Liffey is 70 or 80 miles west from Bordeaux, and the Pactolus, after landing some person on the Gironde, goes off Cape Finisterre, where the Swiftsure is also gone, and many ships are looking out in the channel and about the latitude of Ushant. Bonaparte is certainly not yet gone. I presume he would naturally wait the answer from our government, which only left London on the 1st. My own opinion is that he will either go with a force that will afford him some kind of security or in a merchant vessel to avoid suspicion. The orders from the Admiralty received last evening are that the ships which are looking out for him should remain on that service till further orders, or till they know he is taken, and not regard the time of 10 days or a fortnight, which they first named. Therefore, you will govern yourself by that, and keep any ship you have with you till one of those events occur, without attending to the 10 days I specified in my letter to you by the opossum yesterday, and make the same known to any ship you may communicate with. The information you sent me, which had been transmitted to you from Bordeaux, is now proved to have been erroneous by our knowing that Bonaparte was at Paris as late as the 30th of June, and that paper must have been written on the 29th. As you received it on the 30th, the Eridanus will not rejoin you. She has been stationed by Lord Keith of Brest. Let me know by the return of the Chasse-Maree, particularly what ships you have with you and where the other ships are, as far as you know, and what position you keep in. If you had ships enough to guard Basque Roads and the channel between Isle d'Oléron and the long sand where the frigate may pass, you would be sure of keeping them in by anchoring, but that would afford you little chance of taking Bonaparte, which is the thing to be desired. Therefore, I think you would be better off the lighthouse, where I dare say you keep yourself, and on that particular subject, I do not think it necessary to give you any instructions, as I depend on your using the best means that can be adopted to intercept the fugitive, on which captivity the repose of Europe appears to depend. If he should be taken, he is to be brought to me in this bay. I have orders for his disposal. He is to be removed from the ship in which he may be found to one of His Majesty's ships.